Pleased to have you return to my channel, Coin Lady. It may come as a surprise to you, but every central bank has a counterpart. The Bank of International Settlements is that institution, and it has released a long report outlining its predictions for the global economy's future. Now that the Bank of International Settlements is working with XRP and the Ripple team is assisting to expedite XRP's incorporation into the banking industry, it startled and alarmed many people because it contains some fairly nasty data. So, what I'm about to reveal in today's video is going to be absolutely pivotal for the future of cryptocurrency in general, not just XRP specifically. However, there are some shocking updates regarding XRP in the documents we'll be discussing, so it's important that everyone watches this, hits the like button, and we can dive in. According to the official BIS article, they begin by stating that everything is going well thus far. As of late, it seems that the world economy has finally begun to recover from the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, the commodity price shock caused by the conflict in Ukraine, and, of course, the shock price caused by the war in Israel. While all of this is important, there are a few remaining concerns that must be addressed. These are also discussed in this document. With the words "but challenges remain" in the second paragraph, they emphasize this. We are reminded that the job of central banks is far from done by the recent persistence of inflation in a few important jurisdictions. The threat of financial instability and precarious budgetary situations has not disappeared. The economy seems to be in the dark due to moderate productivity growth, and building a stronger foundation for the future looks just as challenging as it did in the past. Put simply, the future of the economy of all nations, particularly the weaker ones, is a major concern for the world's central banks. Basically, what they're trying to convey is that we need to figure this out fast. Right now. In their view, what precisely are these problems? They could argue that the pandemic's effect on the relative pricing of two goods is the primary source of inflationary pressures. The cost of services in comparison to products is one example. The second one is the ratio of labor costs to product prices. The long-term trend of service prices rising relative to goods prices was halted by the pandemic-induced disruptions. To rephrase, the price of your goods is significantly higher. Do not work well when used to print large amounts of currency. Also, as you all should have guessed, the pandemic-induced displacements halted the secular gains in real wages. Simply put, your income is not growing much in relation to the increased cost of living and the abundance of consumer goods and services you purchase on a daily basis. Your company is not increasing your salary. The problem originated with the central banks, and it has come full circle to them due to their spending and money printing. However, they insist that the pandemic was the cause. Yeah, spare us your gaze. Additionally, they explain in great depth how the commercial real estate market is in shambles as a result of people realizing they can do their jobs from the comfort of their own homes. Entering an office is no longer necessary. For example, how many of you used to have to physically visit an office every day? Now that you can do all of your work from the comfort of your own home, you no longer need to waste time and money commuting. Indeed, several sectors are experiencing difficulties at the moment, with the commercial real estate industry being particularly hit hard. The current market volatility has resulted in the sale of some huge, vacant commercial real estate properties in New York City for far less than their original purchase prices. In essence, the central banks are expressing concern about the potential consequences of many borrowers defaulting on their debts and the associated costs becoming too high to bear. It is concerning, particularly in light of the nature of fractional reserve banking. In conclusion, they do not retain more than 10% of client funds. Therefore, a chain reaction of numerous banks going under will occur if they are unable to repay all of their existing loans. When this happens, what does the Federal Reserve typically do? So, they print up a bunch of money and hand it to the banks to save them. Repay their debts. For all those concerned, devalue their currency. Those Wall Street types are good, and the banks are good too. Our utmost concern is that. Now they move on to discuss policy challenges throughout the remainder of the paper. All the difficulties they're actually experiencing are brought up in discussions of AI and the upcoming AI wave. However, a solution is missing from this entire document. Into the issues people are facing. A yearly economic report is all this is. Overall, we are concerned about the amount of debt, according to the annual economic report. We predict that the commercial real estate market will collapse as a result, and that many people will lose their jobs as a result of the subsequent economic downturn. What they won't admit, though, is that they're the ones who landed us in this jam in the first place, and that there are obvious answers to every problem plaguing our digital world of central banking. Having said that, they are actively working to destabilize our present centralized financial system in order to introduce and essentially impose their new system on all of us. BlackRock enters the picture at this point. You may have noticed that BlackRock has been heavily discussing the tokenization of real-world assets as of late, if not more so than before. As an aside, I'll let you in on a little secret: when lenders are swamped with debt, they basically have two choices. Their increased liquidity and cash allow them to craft a new investment contract that attracts a lot of attention, expands the market dynamic, and, of course, keeps all of their huge debts floating. Another option would be to threaten the Federal Reserve with dire consequences if they do not print the money. Whether you want the economy to crash and burn or plunge into a decade-long depression is entirely up to you, isn't it? The first option is to create a new market, the tokenization of real-world assets, that they have set themselves, a market worth $1 quadrillion. This is because BlackRock is now, of course, very closely involved with the Federal Reserve and the U.S. Treasury. In essence, BlackRock's goal is to enable you to own a small digital portion of real-world assets, real estate, gold, you name it, by fractionalizing them and selling them to you. However, how is that money spent? Am I correct? They take it all in and basically build a new system that is still dealing with debt to issuers and borrowers. But they can put their worries about defaulting loans and failing markets to rest now that they have a new system to invest in and utilize to pay off the old one. Am I correct? Who gives a hoot? It is you. By the time it all falls apart, we will already be filthy rich, but if we can turn this trillion-dollar industry into a quadrillion-dollar market with ridiculous amounts of capital flowing in, we can profit from it for 20 years. I appreciate you taking the time to view my online video. Thank you for watching my channel and for subscribing. I will see you later.